fabulous fiber friends. Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Karen and I am your host. Today is Wednesday, February. Today is Wednesday, May 13th, 2020, and I welcome all of you to my channel. Thank you to all my returning subscribers. Thank you to my new subscribers. I see I have some new subscribers both here on YouTube and on Instagram. Thank you so much. For those of you checking me out for the first time, I hope you find something you like here. And if so, please subscribe and hit the like button. I think I have a lot to share with you today. I have a special guest and which we will start with. I'm going to start with the special guest, and then afterwards I will go into my completed projects, my works in progress, sock knitting, sewing. In honor of today's special guest, I am wearing yarn by this yarn dyer, Stephanie from Asylum Fibers. This is the Shelley Summer Tee, designed by Nancy Ricci of Getting Pearly With It. Here it is. You've seen it before. And the yarn I used is ABSOLEM DK Sparkle by Stephanie at Asylum Fibers. I love, love, love this color. Equally fabulous is some of the new neon colors Stephanie has, and I'm going to share that with you today, or Stephanie will share that with you today, and some of the collaborations. Stephanie's been a very, very busy dyer.
Tell me, you have a lot of collaborations going on.
I do, yeah. So, I did Loopy Mango. That was a while ago. I think they might be sold out now, but that was a lot of fun. This coming month, I guess it's May later this week, right? So for the May Knit Crate Mother's Day box, I dyed that yarn. I always really like working with Knit Crate. It's my second time actually doing a box with them. The first time was the sock box in December 2017, but I've met Rob a few times, and now Natalie, she goes by, I think it's Clem and her cat on Instagram. I should double check, but she is working with Knit Crate now down in Miami. She lived in New York, and I met her through some other friends. So we were friendly to begin with, and she reached out to me. I had no idea that she worked for Knit Crate, but it was really fun collaborating with her and dyeing that colorway for, the Mother's Day box.
Oh, that's nice. I haven't tried Knit Crate yet. I see all their things, and it's always squirrel, 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 everything. Yeah.
Yeah. I know I have a relative in Maine who subscribed, and a friend in Australia.
Oh my gosh, wow.
As well. So it's kind of fun to see, I dyed up 300 something skeins, I think, for them in that color, and then I get to see it pop up all over the place. And
oh yeah, that's cool.
It was also Natalie's first knit pattern that she made with that yarn for the collaboration. So that's.
And what is the pattern?
It's motherly, and so it's going to be on Ravelry also.
Okay.
Like the close up.
Oh yeah, it's beautiful. I'm sure I saw it on Instagram. Yeah, lovely.
So yeah, the fun thing working with Knit Crate is that they actually will send some inspiration photos for the palette, and then I kind of get to run with that, which I really like doing that.
Nice. Nice.
So otherwise, I've been dyeing a lot for the Knitting Place.
I see that.
Yeah.
Dinah's been posting a lot too.
Yeah. So, a lot of local yarn stores have gone kind of digital, and the Knitting Place already had a website, but I think they just kind of ramped up their online sales since they can't be open for in-person sales. So I've been dyeing a lot for her. She has a lot of my bases already, but we've been doing a lot of fingering. So that the new Casapinka shawl pattern for local yarn store day, that we were doing kits for that. I think she has kits for Andrea Mowry's vintage 1983. Is that the right year?
Oh yeah, I think so. Yeah, I know it's in the 80s. Yeah.
Yeah. So the Surrey alpaca, she has some of that. and we're going to be doing more, lots of minis also. So painting bricks shawl or anything else that needs like a pop mini in a lot of these colors actually she has in stock now.
Now, that one is like a hot pink and then kind of an orangey color. I love those two together.
This one is, this is Bad Girl, which is kind of like a redo of one of my original colors, which was Bad Girl. So if you're not paying attention, you're going to think it's the same thing. But because I have new equipment and stuff, some of my older colors, I had to either retire or kind of reinvent. And so as my kind of tonal hot pink, this is the new version using my new burners and all of that. That's Bad Girl.
I think I have that in...
Yeah, I think you do actually.
Yes. I made this with it.
Yes. Yeah.
Yep. So is that one, it's hard to tell with the lighting. Is it a little more neon? It looks more neon from here?
It's a little more neon than the
Oh, then I need that.
It's as like hot pink as I can think to get it to be.
Oh, then
and it's funny because the neon colors, it's like, especially with the neon yellow, it's so hard to photograph them. It almost blows out to the camera.
Yeah.
And then this one's I'm Alive. That's kind of more.
Oh yeah, that one. Yep, I know that one.
Yeah. And then this orange is new. I actually dyed some of this for Dinah. This is called Juicy. And you can't really tell, I don't think, over the camera, but the coral and the orange both have really subtle speckles. And the coral has these really subtle kind of orangey speckles.
Oh yeah, I can barely, but I can see.
Yeah, it's hard to see. And then the orange has these subtle pink speckles. So they kind of like are opposites and they go really well together.
Oh yeah, from here they look beautiful together. Actually, the whole lineup looks great together.
I'm missing the yellow from this lineup here, but in terms of rainbowness. This is Pea Soup. That's an oldie. And it's not the color of real pea soup. I know that. It was originally inspired by on The Exorcist.
The original movie?
Scene.
The original one?
Yeah, the original one. It really freaked out my mom, and it was kind of a joke that I made this neon green and named it Pea Soup based on a really gross scene, kind of like teasing my mother. And then this is a new green. It's like a really kind of like a true Kelly green, and it's called Emerald City.
I was just going to say it looks like emeralds to me. Yeah. And
that's my birthstone. I'm a May baby. And then this is like a turquoise. I called it Bermuda Triangle. I actually went snorkeling in the Bermuda Triangle, and I was joking when I left on that trip to my coworkers that if I went missing or I didn't come back, go look for me in the Bermuda Triangle. It was actually really lovely.
This brand of yarns.
Yeah. And then this
is what's this colorway?
This one's new. I called it Poiple.
Okay.
So it's like spelled Poyple.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's also kind of tonal, but it has these areas that are a little more pink.
That too would look good with my new dress.
Oh, it would actually. That would look
right.
Good. Yeah. I was trying to get a purple to really match the neonness of the rest of this. So that's where that new one came from.
Oh yeah, like it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Gorgeous.
I like the brights in the summer especially.
Yeah, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, it would make such a great, using all the colors and doing like some patchwork thing or like very Betsy Johnson. Do you remember Betsy Johnson? Yeah.
Yeah, I like Betsy Johnson. Yeah. I actually was thinking about Jamie Hoffman, and her handle is Knitosophy, or I'm not really sure how you say it, but it's kind of like philosophy, but it starts with knit. I think some people might know, but she made the V-back, I think it's called the V-back tee, and it's like a fade. She's supposed to be coming out with I made one and I loved it. She's supposed to be coming out with another one in DK weight. And I just got some DK mini skeins, and I was thinking how fun it might be to make her DK version using kind of like a neon rainbow of the minis.
Yes, wait, I'm on her Instagram.
And I'm making the butterfly sweater that she's got too. Right. Yeah, so this is an example of, oh, this is her DK version, actually. So I don't think the pattern's released, but
Oh, okay, I'm looking at it right now.
yeah, it's reversible. So you can have the scoop and the straight stripes in the front or the back. And it's a great stash buster, actually, but I would just love to do it in those bright mini skeins because I think I could fit a lot of colors.
Oh yeah,
and wear them all at once. Should be fun.
Yeah, definitely. Love that. Love that.
I know you talked to Corrado the other day.
Yes.
I don't know if he told you, he's working on a sweater with some of my yarn for next year's Vogue.
He did, because he told me he would be sitting in your booth wearing.
Yeah. So he's making it in like blues and greens and purples. And then I'm thinking I want to make one for myself. And I'm probably going to do like the pinks and oranges or something. So I'm really excited to make kits. I forgot to tell you about this.
Oh, yes.
That's the Asbury Park color.
Yes.
So that's for inspired by Knit in the Pit, John Griswold.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's a new collaboration, and I'm making the blanket of calm. It's a Casapinka design. I almost have enough squares. I think I might need like 10 more squares.
Well, thank you so much, Stephanie, for joining me today.
Yeah, thanks for having me and chatting. It's nice
chatting, and hopefully we'll see each other soon.
I hope you enjoyed that, catching up with Stephanie and what she's been up to during this quarantine period, and still working like crazy on all of her dyeing, her collaborations with different yarn stores and different designers. And it's always fabulous to catch up with what everyone is doing. I have sort of a finished object. This is my almost finished object, the Matrimonio Bolero. I'll put the information below here. The pattern is free. It was originally in, I think, the Polish language, and someone translated it. There are charts, easy enough to follow. The only thing about the charts is, and then there are written instructions, but there was a mistake that I never caught before, and it doesn't really matter. In the written directions, it says knit 3 together. But then if you look at the charted pattern, and it says knit 3 together, although the way the chart is written, it appears to be a center double decrease. So this time I did the center double decrease, and frankly, I don't think it makes a huge difference in the pattern. Although, maybe, because I used the same needle size that I did on the first version, and my sleeves were much tighter, and that may be because in the first version, when I did knit 3 together, instead of the central double decrease, the patterning sort of wraps around, it always moves over a stitch or two. And in this one, because you do a center double decrease, the pattern remains more sort of even vertically, where the other one sort of traveled sort of vertically and horizontally. So that might be why this one, the sleeves are a little bit looser than the first version, and the back as well, which is what I wanted. I wanted it larger, so that all worked out perfectly well. So as soon as I will show you the completed project once I have all my crochet edging, which I had to order more yarn, and because the mail is a bit slow right now, I probably won't have it for a week. So it'll be a little bit before I am able to complete this 100%. And it's slightly chilly in the house today. I don't know why. So I might leave this on until I get very hot. Then I have some progress on my long line cardigan. I've shown this a few times. I don't want to go into it too much. Here is the long line cardigan, the back piece. So I am making decent progress on that. And I'll put in a picture of the long line cardigan by Quail Studios, and I'm using Rowan's Creative Linen yarn in the colorway Emerald Green. If you haven't tried Rowan's Creative Linen, do give it a try. It's really, really lovely for the warmer weather. Last night, Stephanie and I texted back and forth a little bit, and I told her, I don't think I'm a sock knitter. I'm really trying socks, My husband would love hand knit socks. He loves all the colors, and he thinks it's really cool to have, you know, bright, loud colors, or any colors, just colorful socks poking out of your pants. Or, and in the summer, he likes to wear socks with sandals, which is fine, whatever, you know. I know some of you will cringe at that, but whatever, you know. Here is what I have to say about my experimental sock knitting. I told you before, I think last episode, that I used New Leaf Tutorial, New Leaf Designs, I think is her YouTube channel. I'll make sure to put it below. And I used it just as a jumping off point to do a sock. I was going to do just vanilla sock. I had my yarn picked out, the dyed in the wool colorway, Winky I think it is, and the Koigu that I had at home, they happened to be a perfect match. So I decided I'm going to mix those two yarns. I was very excited and all gun-ho, and I cast on, and I used the tutorial as my jumping off point. And then I decided, okay, I'll sort of follow it a little bit, because the tutorial actually is a patterned sock and I was just doing a vanilla sock. So I decided I would just take like how to do the toe and how to do the heel, and the rest of it I would just, you know, knit stockinette. So initially when I tried the sock on, as I was going toe up, I thought, oh, this is not really, there's no negative ease. It's going to be too big for me. I don't know that it's going to work. I'll give it to my husband. He was very excited about that. Oh, I love these colors. I can't wait. But then as I finished, and I made a shorty, because this is an experiment, and I tried it on last night when I finished it, it actually fits my foot. Now there's no negative ease, and I think my gauge is too loose. I really should have gone down a needle size, but it is an experiment, and so I guess it's a learning experience, right guys? You learn. I did know, well, because I didn't gauge swatch, that would have told me I needed to go down a needle size. Plus, I wasn't really sure. I did not pay any attention to any tutorials about how long, based on my foot length or my husband's foot length, how long to knit, you know, how many rows to knit before I do the cut in for the heel. So, all of that said, it was not a total failure, my first attempt, but the sock ends up fitting me. So here is, I haven't woven in the ends, but here is my finished little shorty sock, my experiment. And I realized, well, there are a couple things. The toe-up sock was very easy to do. The cast on for toe-up socks was very easy to follow in the tutorial. That's all good and fine. And actually, I love, you can see here, that looks really great, right? Where you're adding stitches, you're increasing stitches. What I'm not sure I'm so keen on is the shape of this, for me. So I think I would prefer, I think there is a way to do a more rounded toe. So I will need to find a tutorial, or if any of you sock knitters can recommend a tutorial to learn, I don't know what it's called. Is it a round toe? Or I think I've heard the expression a star toe. So maybe someone can recommend a tutorial for me to use or to check out to see if I prefer that kind of toe. I don't dislike this, I just think it can be a little better. Part of it is my inexperience, so I think I can do a better job, but I also would like to experiment with a round or star toe or whatever that's called. Now, as for the heel, I did the German short row heel, and that was easy. The tutorial was easy to follow. It's a little tedious. You have to make sure the stitches don't slip off the needles. Again, I'm using DPNs, so I had to be careful. What I'm not so keen on with the German short heel, German short row heel, is that, like the toe, it looks just like the toe, which I guess it's supposed to, right? So, but then I have these little bumpies here. Now maybe that'll block out once the sock is washed, but I'm not too keen on that. Then it turns out the sock is actually not long enough for my husband's foot. It actually fits my foot. Now there is, and I think the heel is in the correct place. Take it off. So I think the length is fine for me. So if I want to make socks for myself in the future, I guess I know about how many rows for the toe, and then from the toe point to the heel, where to cut the heel in. So that's all good. Although if I go down a needle size, which I think will give me a better gauge, because this gauge is slightly loose. It's not bad, it's just a little loose. I think the fabric could be a little bit tighter. So maybe going down one needle size, so maybe I have to knit an extra row or two before I would do the heel. But at least I have a general idea. Then what I didn't do is I wanted them shorties for an experiment. I should have made this section that goes right around the ankle a little bit longer because it just barely fits over my ankle. And then I did a 2x2 ribbing. That is my sock experience. I can't say, as much as I was excited to start the sock, I can't say that I'm in love with sock knitting. Now perhaps it's because of the little, my inexperience, and so they're not 100% perfect. And I feel, well, not that all my knitting is 100% perfect, but my sweater knitting is by far much better than my sock knitting. So I guess I just have to get better at sock knitting. But I don't see myself as a huge sock knitter. I think it's official that while I may make socks on occasion, I think it's a lot of work. And I've heard that quite often socks wear out quickly. So, and I don't know, maybe it's the yarn, maybe, I don't know why they do, because there's nylon in this yarn. This is sock yarn, so they should hold up. But it just seems to me that, that if you're going to spend all this time knitting a sock with teeny little needles, that you should get more than a few wears out of them before they start wearing at the heels or toes or whatever. And I am not one, I will not be darning mine. Do you know, when I was growing up, my mother had a little darning wooden, I don't even know what it's called. It's a little tool that you put inside your sock to darn your socks. And my mother had one when I was growing up because she darned our socks when we were little. I am definitely not going to make a second of these, but what I may do is I'm going to start over. I will make another one. I have plenty of yarn, so what I may do is I will make, I just got through saying I'm not a sock knitter, and here I'm thinking, but you know, that's on the back burner. Who knows when I'll start it, or even if I'll start it. And this morning I told my husband, I said, don't count on any hand knit socks because I'm not sure they're going to be coming your way. Next on the agenda, I have a new work in progress, but I just started it, so it seems pointless to even show you. I mean, I'm like 6 rows in. It's a, it's bottom up. It's a lace pattern. This pattern, it is listed as intermediate, and I think the reason is, it appears to me this is a Japanese lacework pattern. You are doing lacework on both sides, on the right side and the wrong side. And so that is why I'm only on row 6 or 7. So as you can see, I mean, it's hardly worth even talking about, but, and I'm in the middle of a row, I put it down. I'm very excited about this. It's a beautiful pattern, but it's definitely not a beginner pattern. It's easy to read. Courtney provides lots of information in the pattern. So if you like lace work, and it is, you know, it's just a section of lace, and then the rest of it is mostly stockinette with a little bit of patterning in it, and there's no sleeves, which is great. Oh, and the back of it is a V, so you can, I'm not sure I'll do the V in the back of the garment. I may just do a round neck, just like the front, so I may make 2 of the exact same pieces. I'll see when I get to it. But it will be beautiful. I'm really looking forward to it. And Courtney does a great job at explaining everything. Well-written pattern. But you have to like lace, and you have to be prepared to do lace on both sides. And there's also a lot of knitting and purling through the back loops, which I'm actually knitting very slowly because, and I've marked off my sections so that I don't make any mistakes, because I started this once before and I had done some silly boo-boo thing, and so I decided I'm going to put the markers just to make sure that my numbers are spot on. So that is a work in progress, and hopefully I will finish that in the very near future, because I really want the garment. But I have to say, doing lace work on both sides, I don't think I've ever done lace work on both sides. I love lace work. I have no problem with lace work, but I think it's always been on the right side of the fabric, not on the wrong side as well. So this is a challenge for me, doing lace work on both the right and the wrong side. I welcome the challenge. Thank you, Courtney. Thank you so much for the pattern. Well, I mean, I purchased the pattern. It was not gifted to me. When I saw it, I just had to buy the pattern. I really loved the work. And I didn't realize when I bought it that the lace work is on both the front and the back. But I'm glad it is, because it does give me an opportunity to learn some new skills and develop my lace knitting. So I'm really looking forward to that. Beep, 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 beep. Knitting in the news. This is from the New York Times, Sunday New York Times, Sunday, May 10th. Come the apocalypse, they will have clothing. This is about the fiber community. The article talks about how during times of stress, during war times, men and women will reach for, and I guess even youth, will reach for craft as a way of occupying their time, their hands, or to pitch in. You know, we're sewing masks to help the healthcare workers and family and friends. During times of war, women knit hats and socks for soldiers. The article says that we've hit a peak in crafting, but the fact that knitting-related businesses in particular are seeing a boost during this time of social and economic stress fits a historical pattern. When Danielle Romanetti opened her yarn store in Alexandria, Virginia in 2009, it was in the pit of the Great Recession. Loans were nearly impossible to get, and for the most part, people were holding on to their money. Yet, Ms. Romanetti's business immediately did well. She said, where travel and a lot of other things weren't happening, she said people were turning to needles and yarn. And I think we in the fiber community, we know this. We do it during times of stress, for anxiety, just to relax, meditation. We all know the health benefits and mental health benefits of our knitting, crocheting, weaving, spinning, needlepoint, and you know, any of the fiber arts. Aside from the fiber space, which is Ms. Romanetti's yarn shop in Virginia, they also interviewed, there's a quote from a couple of quotes from Franklin Habit, who works full-time in the industry. Most of you are familiar with Franklin Habit. If you are not, please do follow him on Instagram. He talks about all the different types of knitters. So, and when they're talking about doomsday knitting and sort of the niche of doomsday knitting, and Mr. Franklin says, you know, there are phantom knitters, knitters who are into Harry Potter, into Star Trek, some are into burlesque, some into preppy, cardigans, knitters who are into punk. You know, you have every type of knitter and crocheter. I'm sure he's meaning, you know, crochet and knitting as well. I just thought it was interesting that it's just mild knitting in the news. Okay, I'm switching gears. I know there's something on Instagram about snacks, about your favorite snacks. Well, let me tell you guys. My favorite snack is peanut M&Ms. I actually traded. A knitting friend here in LA asked me to sew her a few masks for her family, and so I couldn't take money. I didn't want to take money for it. So I said, well, I will for a bag of peanut M&Ms. And she thought I was joking. So when she came to pick up the masks, she said, well, I brought you M&Ms. I wasn't sure you were joking. I said, oh no, I wasn't joking. I said, I love peanut M&Ms. So she actually bought me a big family pack, and I think my husband and I ate them in 2 days. Some of you may or may not know that Claudia of Crochet Luna designs pins, crochet and knit pins. I wanted to support Claudia in more than just loving her. and wanting to give her big hugs because I love when we get together. We've been out for lunch and we have such a nice time, and I really, I treasure that, and I miss that we can't do that. So in the meantime, I've gotten some yarn mail. I ordered, Claudia is an artist, aside from a crochet designer. Claudia is an artist and she designs pins. I love this. This bitch knits. How could I resist? I don't like to curse on my YouTube here, but I actually love, my favorite curse word is the F word. I try to use it sparingly. Although if my dogs could talk, they would tell you how often Mommy uses the F word. Oh, and Claudia, there's some tea here too. Thank you, Claudia. Yeah, so we have these great buttons. Check out Claudia's Etsy page. I will link it below. So if you want, you know, if you want to say this bitch knits or this bitch crochets, there you go. You get your pin from Claudia's shop. Oh wait, hold on. Dare I get up on my stool? These pants, they're more like pajama bottoms. These pants were supposed to have a little ruffle at the bottom. They were supposed to be slightly cropped with a ruffle. Somehow, the way the pattern for the ruffle was supposed to lay out in the fabric, I didn't have sufficient length in the fabric to do that. I don't know what happened. So I decided just to make these, you know, regular, you know, like a little bit longer than ankle length and just leave it at that. And they're elastic waistband. I couldn't figure out how to do the pockets, so I didn't put the pockets in. Oh wait, you guys. Dress number 1 by 100 Acts of Sewing. I have made 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 versions. I've made a bunch of them. It's inside out, but you get the gist of it. A linen version, a floral print, octopi, fish, a seascape. Now, I tried to make a skirt with cotton lawn material. The skirt it has an elastic waistband, but it has a yoke. And somehow I had thought in the pattern, the yoke in this particular pattern, and I guess I should find the pattern. I'll write it below what it was, or what it is. The yoke was rectangular, which I thought was odd because I know when I've done a yoke on pants in the past, it's slightly curved, right? Because it's a little wider towards your hips and a little narrower, right? So it's kind of shaped more like this. So the upper part will be for your waist and the lower part, you know, the angle will be for your hips. So I was a little confused by that. Also in the pattern, it had markings for where you're supposed to insert a 1 inch, no, a 1/4 inch elastic for the waistband, but the yoke is about this wide. And I thought, how are you putting in, and the opening that you were supposed to keep open when you sew up your side seams for the yoke, you're supposed to leave about that much of an opening, almost 1.5 inches or so. And I thought, why are you leaving such a wide opening for a 1/4 inch piece of elastic? That didn't make sense. Plus, where that opening fell on the body of the skirt was closer to the hips than the waist. And I thought, well, that doesn't make sense. God, my ends, I keep getting stuck on. That didn't make sense. So why, I don't know. The whole thing, I was confused. I couldn't find anything online with how to correct it. I know it's user error, and I know that probably like some knitting patterns, you need a little experience to understand how to decipher some instructions. And my lack of experience led me to, you know, I tried doing the waist, it was a mess, and I put it on and I thought, oh my God, this doesn't fit at all. Plus, oh, we have to talk about another thing, sizing, but I'll get to that in a minute with patterns. So with regards to my skirt, I ended up just making like an encased, a casing, I guess you call it, a waistband casing, I think is what it's called. And I had some luckily just enough elastic for the waistband, and I just turned it under. So what was supposed to be a yoke waistband, I just turned into a casing, and it's a bit thick because it was already doubled from the yoke, because you had a facing, the yoke had a facing as well, plus I put interfacing in to stabilize the fabric. Well, by the time I did all that, and then that didn't work out, the yoke didn't work out, and I had to just turn it in to make a casing out of it. It was just a big mockery. So here is the garment, and it did not turn out perfectly, and my waistband is a little wonky, but I think it'll be okay. I guess like with knitting, you know, my sewing skills, I'm learning as I go, and so I should not expect to be even at 90% of perfection when I'm just sort of, I haven't sewn in probably 6 years, so I need to give myself a break and just say, okay, you're learning. And it's good. I can still wear this and wear a little crop top over it, and it'll be fine, and no one will really see my mistakes. So that is, it's a long skirt, a maxi skirt. So it will be fine for the summer and running around. Now let me talk about sizing. With patterns, I was on YouTube recently looking at, oh, and also, speaking of which, YouTube, Anita by Design. Oh my gosh. I'm sure many of you sewists and those fiberistas who also sew, you know about Anita by Design. She is new to me and she has a huge following, and she gives such wonderful tutorials. Actually, I commented and she replied back today, I noticed, on, you know, I said, oh my God, I'm so happy I found you. You really give these wonderful, detailed, instructional videos on how to put together. She'll take like a skirt pattern or a dress pattern, and she goes through it step by step and works with you, you know, cut this, you know, prepare your fabric. These are the tools you need. Have everything set up, have everything ready to go. I mean, so detailed. And she really, really was so helpful. So I've watched quite a few of her videos so that I become more familiar with all the terminology of sewing and learn some of the techniques that I'm going to need to become a better sewist. And so watching Anita, oh my God, you guys, you've got to check her out. I will link her below as well. So she had said, I think it was her, she had said in one of her videos that I watched that when you look at a pattern sizing, let's say you go to a department store and you're a size, whatever, 6, 8, 10, 12, whatever the sizing is. She said you cannot look at a sewing pattern and the sizes are not a direct translation. I thought, oh my God, because a lot of the patterns that I've sewn so far, which is not many, I've always gone to the smallest or second smallest size. Because what I do is when I hold the paper pattern up to me or up to a pair of, let's say, pants, I'm making pants, I hold it out to a pair of pants that I have, do my seam allowance and say, okay, I'm kind of either the smallest or second smallest size in the sewing patterns. But then so after Anita, I went to my sewing patterns and I looked and I thought, oh my God, my waist measurement, which has gotten bigger after menopause, ladies, and as we get older and gravity, my little 25-inch waist is no longer 25 inches. Or whatever it was when I was a youngin', is I'm more like a 27-inch waist. And in the stores, I buy garments and jeans that are anywhere from sometimes a 0, which makes no sense whatsoever. And I think stores just do this intentionally to make you feel smaller, which is ridiculous. So we're not being size inclusive or embracing whatever women are not meant to be a size 0. Now, I am a small person. I'm small framed. I'm 5'4". I'm not a large person. But to wear a size 0, I mean, come on. And so I run anywhere from a 0, but usually anywhere from a 2 to a 4, depending, and anywhere from a 26 to a 27 in there. That's the size I wear. Now, in European size, I'm usually a 38, like in a top. According to many sewing patterns, I should be a size 12 according to the sewing patterns. But then when I hold them up to my garments, the things that I own that I know I like the fit of, I say, oh my God, that's huge. That's going to be too big on me. So I'm a little confused yet on how that works. So any of you sewists out there, maybe you can help me out. Comment below. Tell me your experience, because I'm finding that, gosh, if I made the size 12 for me, I think the garment would be huge. So what I'm going to do, there's a dress, a fit and flare dress I really want to make. I saw it on Constance, Stitching Over the Days. Constance recently made a fit and flare dress, somewhat recently, a fit and flare dress that I would really love to make. So I ordered the pattern, I have it, but I think I'm going to get some muslin and do a mock-up first. I don't want to mess up and ruin fabric or have to rip it all out. I'm not too keen on that. Now, according to this pattern and how they measure here, I'm measuring a size 4 in this particular pattern. So I guess what I asked you guys to comment on is, I guess each pattern brand or designer, I guess I have to go on whatever their sizing tells me, and maybe that's the difference. So you make the bodice, and then there's a skirt portion. There are pockets here, which, you guys, I've never done these kind of pockets. This is so cool. And Grainline has a tutorial online as well. It's not a video tutorial, it's a pictorial tutorial, but on their website, once you have the pattern, you can go through and it gives you very detailed instructions. And actually, they're very detailed in the booklet that you get with the instructions, but for me, I like to read something and then have the visuals. And so it was very helpful because I was a little confused. And again, it's not the pattern, it's me. I'm inexperienced. So I wanted to make sure that I understood the written instructions correctly. So I was so happy that Grainline also provides online pictorial tutorials so that you can, ensure that you're doing all your sewing together properly, especially newbies like me. So as you can see, so that's all done. I've done my pockets, and what's really cool, I'll lift, can you see that? So there's my pocket. So you cut out 4 pieces of fabric, and I still have to either serge, I have to figure out what I'm going to do, serging or something for that. But when I put it together, I was so thrilled when it all came together. So now here, I'll show you the back. And the back is just, plain, really nice. So what I have yet to do is do my neckline and my sleeves and the hem. And I have made, even the pattern actually has, I thought, what are these little strips for? But it turns out they have you make your bias. So the pattern actually has you make the bias for your neckline and your sleeves. And I didn't really read all, I put everything on the fabric, I cut it all out, but I didn't read all the way through the instructions. And so when I was cutting out these thin strips, I thought, oh, what is this for? And because I didn't realize that those strips that I had cut out, that I was unsure what their use was, I made my own bias tape. I'm getting better at doing my top stitching so that your pockets stay under and where they belong. I'm getting better at learning where to eye, like on my foot, my presser foot, and measure out. Anita has suggested, if you get confused with where to place your fabric, or you're afraid you're gonna, the fabric moves a bit when you're sewing, is to place like blue, place tape, like that painter's tape, that blue tape, that blue, orange, or whatever color you can get. Place that on your needle plate where you need your fabric to remain. So that also is a very great idea. So that is my sewing. I really appreciate all of you who subscribe and tune in. I hope you like this episode. Thank you so much for tuning in. Have a great weekend, and I will see you next time around. Thanks for watching. Bye.